name is Ashley Borowski. I'm Manager of Marketing and Public Relations at Lilly Associates. Today I am with
Nelson Cabrera. I am the Manager for Business Development at Lilly Associates.
Lilly Associates is a full-service freight forwarder located in Miami, Florida, with offices around the globe, specifically in Venezuela, Colombia, Guatemala, Panama, and China. So we've been hearing a lot from our customers, both domestic and abroad, about incorporating Panama into their supply chain, both for near sourcing reasons or as a distribution center. And we wanted to talk to Nelson, because he obviously is an expert about this region, on the benefit and maybe some of the disadvantages, if there are, for Latin America and US based companies. So Nelson, what are the benefits specifically to U.S. companies who are looking maybe to near source or to incorporate Panama into their distribution or supply chain?
Absolutely. It's a great time for multinationals to be looking at Panama because of the infrastructure enhancements that are going on in Panama right now. And namely, the canal is being expanded to allow much bigger vessels to be able to cross the canal. This obviously is going to lower transportation costs, because bigger ships with more containers will be able to go through the Panama Canal. As far as distributing from Panama, the Colón Free Zone has increased threefold as far as the number of companies that are doing business there, the land that is being built, and just total infrastructure as far as airports, highways. For example, from Panama City to Colón Free Zone, before the drive used to be anywhere between 2 and 2.5 hours, 3 hours for containers and bigger type of vehicles. Well, today you're looking at about 30-minute transportation time from Panama City to Colón Free Zone.
That's a big improvement. Yeah.
Absolutely. And internal cost, transportation costs are lowering as a result of the improvement in infrastructure as well. There's a lot of technology, cutting edge technology, used by the warehouses in Panama, whether it's inventory visibility, placement of orders, you name it, everything could be done online. A lot of personnel that obviously are bilingual, English and Spanish being the dominant language, but Panama, the Colón Free Zone, is occupied by many immigrants, whether Vietnamese, Chinese, Taiwanese, Arab, Israeli, you name it. You have a big Indian community as well.
And what about the currency for U.S. companies? Obviously, the U.S. dollar in the Colón Free Zone would probably be a benefit to them, correct?
Yeah, absolutely, and especially now that you're seeing in Latin America, the local currency appreciate against a weak dollar. And many multinationals have taken losses as a result because they're reporting and they're doing business in their home country in U.S. dollars, and they're doing business locally in the local currency. And when the local currency appreciates against the U.S. dollars, the profits, when converted from local currency to U.S. dollars, diminishes and impacts the U.S.-based companies tremendously, sometimes by 15, 20, 30%. In Panama, it's very stable. It's always in U.S. dollars, so you're not going to have any substantial impacts on your bottom line.
And what about companies in Latin America that are maybe looking at adding Panama for geographic, maybe even political reasons into their supply chain?
Absolutely. Because Panama has seen a lot of democratic stability the last 20 years, that has created a lot of economic opportunities as well. Again, many countries are investing in Panama. The GDP in Panama has grown twofold within the last 5 years, and it continues to grow at a 4 to 5% GDP increase per year. So healthy growth and sustainable. Panama is definitely changing. It was utilized by many Latin American and Caribbean importers as a place to go buy merchandise and take it to their country and resell, as opposed to going to China or going to Mexico or one of these strong origin manufacturing countries. And now we've seen the opposite. Now many countries in Latin America and the Caribbean are going to China, are going to Mexico, are going to Taiwan, are going to Korea and buying direct. So kind of omitting Panama. So I think it's a great opportunity for multinationals to actually distribute out of Panama because of the proximity to Latin America and the Caribbean, because it being such an important transportation hub because of the Panama Canal. Well, ocean freights are very cheap, and so are air freight rates, because everybody tends to transship via Panama. And so the frequencies are also very important. Sometimes you have a country out of Panama that is served 3 or 4 times per week.
Wow, that's great. A tremendous benefit, obviously, to companies that are operating in the region.
Yes, and we're seeing more and more investment in Panama and infrastructure improvement, and that is definitely putting it as a primary destination for transnationals that want to distribute their product out of Panama.
That's wonderful. And what about, as far as labor, are there any advantages of the labor force in Panama, maybe disadvantages as well?
Well, Panama is a small country in territory and population. The population is still catching up to the advances in infrastructure that have taken place the last 5 years. So I think this is definitely a weakness that Panama currently has, and especially in Colón Free Zone, which is a qualified workforce. It is a cheaper workforce, but unfortunately not yet a productive workforce. So I think a lot of our customers and the multinationals out there, they get cheap labor, but it's not necessarily the most productive.
And what about shrinkage? Do you have to worry of any security concerns, or?
At the macro level, the Colón Free Zone is very secure. Access is very restricted. So the inflow and outflow is very well guarded and supervised. At the micro level of a pallet coming in, a high value pallet coming in, yes, you have to be very conscious of security, like in most places, I would say. But as far as drugs and terrorism and that sort of thing, it's a pretty peaceful and secure place. We have not yet encountered those sort of problems.
Okay. And one more question kind of going along with that. Now, when goods are coming in and out of Panama, do you see a lot of holds on the goods, or is it something that it isn't as prevalent as in some other countries?
Precisely, that's a great question. It is not as prevalent as in other countries. There's not a big security force out there or government force out there looking to stop the containers, looking to x-ray them or put them on hold. It's, you know, a lot of times, for example, a ship arrives at 2 p.m. on Thursday, and by 5 p.m. we're already pulling our containers into our warehouse. That's a huge, huge advantage.
That's great.
For companies that are distributing out of Panama and are very, very aware of just-in-time, where the inventory is needed within 72 hours. A lot of times we could fulfill those just-in-time requests because the ports are pretty liberal. Yes, all the papers have to be in order, but I feel that they just don't put cargo on hold for the sake of putting cargo on hold. And that makes it a lot easier for the flow of goods and the on-time arrival to the markets.
Well, that's great. Well, thank you so much, Nelson. It's been
Thank
great
you.
talking to you about Panama, and be sure to look at some of our other videos.
Thank you for having me.